Okay, so welcome to the next stage, stage 3. This is adding our curve adjustment layers. So at the bottom of the layer palette, the circle looks like a half moon. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select curve. So right now I'm just going to add all these curve adjustment layers. I'm not going to make any changes to them yet. I'm just adding them. So I've added 4 because I have one that's going to be for the eyes. I have another one that's going to be for the mouth, which is like the lips. Third one's going to be for the teeth. And the fourth one is going to be for the hair. Okay, so I have my properties for the adjustment layers showing. So I'm going to click on the little graph. Make sure I see that highlight the selection around the graph. So on this curve adjustment layer, I should see the actual graph of that curve adjustment. So I'm going to pull this up again. This is for the eyes. So the eyes, it's like I want to brighten the eyes. I'm going to zoom in. Spacebar, click and drag so I can see the eyes. I'm also going to add a little bit of contrast. So on the bottom part of this curve, I'm clicking and I'm going to pull down. And then this part that's rising, I'm going to grab it and going to bring it up. So also not only brightening the eyes, but using the bottom part of the curve to add some contrast. And then I'm going to click on the mask and the property change, because now it's showing me the properties for my mask. And if you don't see everything, make sure if you see part of the properties, make sure you scroll down to get to the bottom where you can click on invert to fill in the mask with black. So I'm going to now click on the next layer, my adjustment layer. I'm going to click on the graph icon. And for the mouth, so this mouth part is for the lips, I'm going to pull down to darken. I don't need to go all the way down, that's too extreme. I just need to go a little bit down. And then I'm going to click on the mask for that. So the property changes. So for the mask, I'm going to scroll down and then click on invert. Now on the teeth curve adjustment there, I'm going to click on the graph icon. For teeth, I'm obviously going to pull up slightly to brighten the teeth. And because of my subject, her teeth are already pretty bright. I don't need to go super high up. I'd still pull it up a little bit. Click on the mask for that curve adjustment. Scroll down on the property panel so I can get to invert. Click on invert, fills it black. And now the last one, the hair curve adjustment layer. Click on the graph of the curve adjustment. I'm going to pull this up. And again, because the hair type, and the blonde hair, I don't need to go super up high because then it's going to blow out. So I just go up a bit, just a little bit. Again, based on your subject, their hair type, the lighting, that all comes into play in consideration when you're making these curve adjustments. Selecting the mask, scrolling down so I can click on invert. So I made the adjustments. I've filled all the masks with black. So now it's just going in and painting with my brush tool, making sure I have white loaded on the brush. I have a soft brush, so there's no hardness. The mode is on normal. Opacity is 80, flow is 70, so that's fine. So for the eyes, I'm going to hover over the eye, making the brush about the size of the eye. I'm going to click a few times. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll do the same on the other eye. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now the overpainting, I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller. I'm going to make sure I have black on the foreground color, so I'll hit X on my keyboard to flip between my foreground background color. All it does is flip the colors you have loaded for foreground background color. It just flips them back and forth. It does the flip-flop hitting X. So I want black loaded on the foreground color. I reduced the brush size, so now I'm just going to paint just outside of the eye, so that way that lighting, making the eye lighter on the inside is only affecting the eye. Go to the other side, clean up the overpaint on the other eye, so that way, again, the effect is only being applied to the eye. I'm going to zoom in a little. Okay, I'm going to be right in the center. I'm going to also click just once. Undo. Making sure it's kind of like right over where the pupil would be. I'm going to click to make sure that part doesn't get too bright. Alright, so now I'm just curious. I'm going to go up to my blend mode of this curve adjustment, and I'm going to go down towards the different blend modes just to see if I can increase the contrast but still keep the brightness. So if it's too much, linear light is too much, but hard light looks pretty good. So if I click on before and after, so again, it's increased the brightness and also the contrast even more with what I have here. And now I'm going to zoom out a little and see how much I need to pull back on this curve adjustment layer. So that way I give a little, like a nice pop to the eye color, but not exaggerating. 100% is way too much. Towards 40, 45 looks. I'll turn this on and off before and after. So that's enough. Okay, so the mouth, same concept. Make sure my brush, I have white loaded on the foreground color, soft edge. I'm just going to paint over the lips. Any overpainting, again, I'm going to flip the color so I have black loaded on the brush, and then make the brush a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to paint outside of the lips. So that way I can clean up any of the overpainting. So that way the curve adjustment layer is only showing up on the lips. Because my subject is smiling, so I see the teeth. I'm also, just to make sure that there's no overpainting going onto the teeth, I'm going to paint over the teeth. I have a separate curve adjustment layer that will be used for the teeth. Okay, so again, turn this on and off, before and after. For this curve adjustment layer for the mouth, same thing. I want to see, like, can I make the lips look a little more glossy? I can probably change my blend mode to see color burn too much, right? Way too much. Lighten if I want to get like a softer pink, but it's more about trying to see. So definitely in these ones where it's like soft light to hard light, I think soft light looks pretty good. But changing the blend mode to soft light, it's kind of giving a little bit more of a shine to the lips. I'm gonna reduce the opacity. So the idea is, like, I'm making the lips a little bit darker, and also to make it look like it's a little more reflective. Kind of like if they had put on like a cherry chapstick. Because cherry has that light tinge of red in it, and then when it's applied onto the lips, it just adds. It's kind of giving that rosy shine on top of the lips, and I'm trying to kind of replicate that idea. Okay, I don't want to do too much. Before or after. It's just a little bit. It adds a little bit more life into the lips. It's very subtle, but it's just enough. Again, our retouching, the whole idea is like to, again, give that little, the sparkle in the eye, the little extra, you know, pizzazz, if lack of a better word, just to, make the image overall look just a little bit better, but not obvious. So we're trying to, like, it's give and take, push and pull. Okay. The teeth. So again, this one, it's about brightening, and it's very subtle. This change. So again, making sure I have the brush white loaded on the foreground color. I have a soft edge. I'm gonna zoom in. And just begin painting just over the teeth. I want to make sure it's the teeth and not the lips. I'm going to also avoid any part of the gums. This is just for the teeth. zoom out, turn this on and off, before and after. Kind of making the brightening kind of like a little more even across the teeth, but then like all the other adjustments, I'm gonna pull back on how strong this curve adjustment is applied. So it's very subtle, and again, just a slight little touch. The last curve adjustment, my hair, make my brush bigger. I'm zooming out because I'm now thinking about like kind of covering larger areas, making sure white's loaded on the brush, and just moving this down. And based on the light pattern that's showing up on the hair, I'm just trying to emphasize highlights. Make some parts of the hair stand out more. So before, and after. So I'll pull this down. It's not as strong. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that I'm done with my curve adjustment layers, I'm going to create my new merged copy, Control Alt Shift E, and then we're done, so we can move on to the next stage.